You're back, of course. Where else would you go? Now, reality TV, I suppose, is more important than reality, isn't it? Disagree? Yeah, so do I. Of course I do. But we may be in a minority, you know. There are a myriad of the genre, and they're often crude, crass, and entirely manipulative. My guest is arts and culture columnist Rick McGinnis. Hello, Rick.
Hello, Michael.
Now, they're cheap to make. They make a fortune.
Yes.
There's one clip. It was the proverbial straw that broke some poor camel's back, that poor camel. Have a look at this, please.
I'm Mrs. Ceri Rees. I'm from the Gents. I've been to the X Factor 3 times before. 2005.
I'm going to say no, Ceri.
2006.
No.
And 2008.
Ceri, it's a no done.
Ooh, my darling, you. Bittersweet memories.
All right, enough, because we don't... enough, please, turn that off now. Let's have the camera back now. Look, it's bad enough the woman's Welsh. No, I'm joking. Seriously, she's mentally ill. She's mentally ill. And she's been on it 4 or 5 times now. She's been on this show to be auditioned. So spare me that crap that, oh, we didn't know. I mean, they manipulate terribly. It's one thing to have an eccentric on, you know, someone who's just, oh, crazy. OK, they want to be there and they can be fun. And, I mean, I only like these shows at the beginning when some of the odd people are on. This is not odd. This is a woman who is dysfunctional. She has visions and fantasies of who she is and what she is. And they keep bringing her back because people laugh at it, and it makes the people who run the show and host the show multi-millionaires. But I think it's wrong. I really think it's wrong. Am I just being too puritanical here?
Well, OK. The first time the woman went on, it was probably fair game, right? I mean...
Well, they knew. They could tell immediately.
But apparently they... Especially this last time is the 4th time she's been on. They actively courted her. There was apparently, though they've denied it, offers of, you know, we'll pay for your train fare, we'll put you up in a hotel. They're
lying. They're liars. You know
yes, that, you know, Simon's dying to have you back on because Cal is, of course, still the producer of the show, if I'm not mistaken, even if he's no longer a host. So there was an active desire to have her on, but it's backfired, hasn't it? I mean, it has been. No, you don't think so?
No, I think it's playing into their hands. It's given them even more publicity because there are now people saying it was bad that you did this, and even more people will watch.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they definitely can't do this again because that would just be an extra cruelty.
Not with her. They'll find someone else.
Yeah, well, there's always someone else. That's the problem.
Cal, X Factor is now, I think, the biggest one in the States, isn't it?
Yes.
And they have their streaming apparently just last night. Apparently, I can't say. Well, yeah, I was watching it last night, and there was a guy on again who I think he probably was not completely functional. And again, an eccentric is one thing. They can often be quite nasty, but this is something entirely different. The whole thing is manipulated. They brought this person back on, and it wouldn't even surprise me if they've manipulated the bad publicity because they needed a bit of a jump.
Well, you have to understand that humiliation has always been an essential part of reality television from the beginning, from when it was conceived. I mean, going back as far as Candid Camera, it has always been part of it. The Japanese, who pioneered modern reality television, they have shows that are wholly based on just humiliation.
It's a humiliation-based culture in many ways, and not always a desirable
shame,
one.
Exactly, shame and humiliation. We watch it here because of, you know, vicariousness. We pay quite a bit. It's a premium we'll pay for vicarious entertainment. And in this case, I suppose, what we're looking for in its purest sense is the ability to see the deluded and the prideful humiliated on television. But this is, of course, going a step further because you're right. I mean, what's the word we would use nowadays? Can you say simple-minded? Is that even correct anymore? I mean, what's the word we would use for somebody like this poor woman?
NDP voter? Challenged. If we made certain jokes about people who had mental disabilities, we could get into trouble, or some people might. We have certain standards. You know, is there a ramp for that wheelchair? And there should be. But of course, you can make a joke about someone on one of these shows in the guise of entertainment. We know it's collective neurosis. We see all these kids and people crying and worshipping people they've never known. It's all about the absence of religion and decline of community and all that stuff. Yes. So I think we have to draw in some absolutes. I don't want to control what goes on in society, but exploiting someone who is vulnerable. It's not some bimbo who wants to go on there and say, look at me. She doesn't know any better. isn't that one of the few occasions when maybe the state has an obligation to intervene?
No, I don't think so. I mean, did you read The Guardian? The Guardian wrote a piece on this.
I would never read The Guardian. It's written by communists and perverts.
You don't know what you're missing then. No, The Guardian said, and you know, only the way The Guardian can say this, that it wasn't just poor Miss Rees, who is Mrs. Rees, who is the victim here. We all were, Michael.
Oh,
we were all.
That's why I don't read The Guardian. Yeah.
And as a way of prelude, in the way that The Guardian could only do it, of saying that, you know, we must do something about this because this will make victims of us all, Michael.
Well, that's not true, but I do believe that if you are mentally handicapped, there is some sort of protection involved.
Well, yes.
If someone goes to this woman and says, if you give me 1,000, in this case pounds, I can make this happen, there's a good chance she would give the money. Well, I think the state, that's one of the few times when the state should say, no, that's against the law.
Yeah, that's defraud. I mean, we can quantify cash, but we can't quantify...
You're not raping this woman of her dignity?
How do you quantify dignity? I mean, especially in the culture we have now.
You have it, I don't.
I suppose.
Look, I'm loath for any sort of interference, but at a time when media is so controlled in terms of what you say about various groups, but in this case, it's just this ritual humiliation of a poor woman.
Why can't the shame cut both ways? Why can't the people who make the X Factor be shamed? Obviously not.
They don't know shame.
It's true.
It's beyond their vocabulary.
Yes.
Nice jacket.
Thank you. Thank you
I was
very
being
much.
sarcastic. No. It's always a pleasure. Where can people read you, very quickly?
Landmark Report. I have a big piece on REM running this weekend.
Marvellous.
I know.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.